We actually employ grandmothers in emerging countries in their villages, in their homes. And these people have the crochet skills. So crochet is like a dying art. I don't know anyone that crochets anymore. And my grandmother crochets, but I don't really know anyone my age that knits or crochets. So
welcome to the Style Awakenings podcast. I'm Amanda Weil, a soul stylist and your host, and I am joined today with Lisa Maree, the most amazing Australian fashion designer and founder who really focuses on fun, playful, unique, sophisticated wardrobe essentials, plus gorgeous pieces when you want to get dressed up. And I really feel like in a world where fashion can feel kind of the same store to store, Lisa brings such a fresh approach. She uses color, she uses texture, she has updated silhouettes, and she's also extremely mindful about sustainability and has a really holistic approach to the creation of her collection, which we will definitely discuss. So welcome, Lisa Maree. So excited to have you here.
thanks for having me.
Of course, of course. And is there anything in the introduction that I missed that you'd like to share about yourself or your brand?
No, you were so wonderful. That was a glowing introduction.
Well, it helps that I know you and that we're friends and I want to rave about you. So, okay, to start out, I would love to know, how did you get started on this path of designing?
So that's kind of like a two-part story. So I'll tell you, when I was a child in school, I always had my mother cutting up clothes. She'd buy me clothes, and I would say to her, she could sew, thankfully. So I would say to her, "Oh, I want to change this, and can I cut this?" Or I'd have her sewing things for me from scratch. We'd go and buy fabric, and I'd tell her what I want, and she was amazing at creating that. So I definitely had that in my blood from a young age. Um, and then how I actually got into this business is a kind of an interesting story. I studied graphic design in college, and I thought I was going to be a graphic designer. I always liked design, whether it was digital or in fashion. And so I studied for 4 years, and I came out of college a graphic designer, and could not get a job to save my life. So I tried to get a job. No one was hiring at the time. I tried to volunteer my time. I will work for you for free. Nobody wanted to spend the time to train me. I got to like an impasse, and I was thinking, what am I going to do with myself now? And I found a government funded small business course in Australia at the time. It was like a 3 month intensive business admin course. And there was like a mini Shark Tank at the end where you present your business idea to a panel of 3 businessmen. And at the time, mine was an online fashion store in Australia, but I'd be importing pieces from overseas and selling them in Australia, not my own design at that time. But I ended up winning that, and I got $10,000 to start my business. I started my online store with $10,000, and it grew and grew. And just for fun, at the time, I started also designing one piece crochet swimsuits and putting them on the store. So that was really the beginning of it all. And those swimsuits sold so well that I think I had like 10 silhouettes at the time. And I took these 10 swimsuits in a box down to a publicist office in Sydney. And it was just like a shoebox almost at the time. I remember it. And I put it on her desk and I said, "Is there anything you can do with this?" And she kind of helped me get up and running. And we did a photo shoot, and she put me in a group show in Sydney Fashion Week, which is like an emerging designer show. You share the show with other people to share costs. And I did that, and there was an agent from New York in the crowd at my show who pulled me aside afterwards and said, "I want to take you to the US." And a few months later, I was in Miami Swim Fashion Week. And then in my debut there, I was picked up by Net-a-Porter, and then Shopbop, and then Revolve, and then ASOS. And so it was a really big snowball. And I ended up moving over to America at that time to really get the business growing and open an office here.
I love your
That's the
story. I
story.
love your story for so many reasons. Number one, similar, my mom used to make all of my clothes growing up too. So we totally have that similarity. And I love that. I love that it starts at such a young age. That's really beautiful. And I love how you almost kind of like fell into this in a way.
Yeah, it kind of just happened. I never thought I would be a fashion designer. That wasn't my goal. I did always love design. I always loved fashion, even as a child, and altering my clothes always. But I just didn't have the foresight to see that that's where I would end up.
So crazy. Okay, so then fast forward, you're in the States, and then how many years until you started designing more than just swimsuits? Because now you have literally everything.
That's really recent. So, I mean,
Ooh,
across the year, yeah, across the years, my business life is kind of varied, and I don't actually know if you even know this, but I lived in America for a few years, and then I moved to Istanbul in Turkey, and we had an office there, opened an office, and did a lot of manufacturing there. And then I moved back to America, and I actually saw a gap in the market in Australia for a tech company. I went back to Australia in wrapping it up in a nutshell. I went back to Australia and opened a second company with a business partner, a double-sided marketplace for at-home beauty services. We raised a few $1 million from investors, scaled that, and then I exited that. We sold it to a big company out of Dubai. And then I moved back to America and focused back on Lisa Maree. And so at that point, I started broadening what we were doing. So I had, it was, yeah, it's very varied and complex, but because Lisa Maree was running how it was and my energy was focused on this new company, when I could focus myself back on Lisa Maree, that's when I was able to, elaborate on what we were doing and start designing and doing different things other than just the
got
crochet.
it. Gosh, it's like you've lived so many lives in your life, and you're still so young. I love it. I love it. You were like,
I know. I did realize that you cannot do two things really well. You can do one thing really well and kind of like let the other kind of just plateau out there, but it's very difficult to be fully immersed in two different big things.
oh yeah, oh for sure. And now, okay, so now that you're back in style in that space and really focusing on that, and you and I talk about like deeper things so often, which I love. And when did you really realize the power of style and what you put on your body and how it shifts your life, how it shifts how you show up, your perspective? Like, when did you start to notice that correlation?
I think I've always felt that style affects somebody's confidence. Like I really feel that the energy of what you wear translates to how you show up in the world, and it's always been something important to me. I don't know if there's a point in time where I realized that exactly, but I feel like innately everybody knows that when they put on something that they feel good in, no matter what that is, it really changes you and it really changes how you present yourself to other people in your confidence. So I don't know if that's something that I always had within me or if it grew over the years, but I've definitely felt that for a very long time.
Yeah. And do you feel like the more work you do on yourself, like the more clear you get on yourself, do you feel like your style shifts a little bit or like things change?
Yeah. Yeah, and you feel more confident in what you're picking out to wear because I know in my history I'd be like, "Oh, should I wear this or should I wear that?" or I don't know or I'd try so many things on but now I am like, "Yes, this works. This is what I'm wearing." And it makes the whole process a lot easier.
It's like decisiveness, right? Once you get clear on who you really are, it's decisive in all areas, which is
Absolutely.
really beautiful. Okay, so since you have lived this like amazing life in your short life, like what have been the biggest lessons and learnings do you think along the way? You've already shared like it's really hard to focus on two big things at once. What else do you feel like has been
Yeah.
like a big lesson for you?
I think probably my biggest lesson and to get really into the nitty-gritty is around money. And I mean, it's an interesting thing to say as a business owner, but when you start being successful and you see all this money coming in, it's very easy to go and spend it. Oh, we need another office. Oh, I need more staff. Oh, I need to buy more stock. Oh, so I've really when I think back about everything that I've been through, and there's been many ups and there's been many downs, one of my biggest lessons was not to go too big too quickly. And I think a lot of people do make that mistake. They're like, oh yeah, I see this coming in and now I can do all these other things, and it's going to be fine. And sometimes it is, and that's great. But I think there's also definitely some merit in taking it slow and taking it one step at a time, and not just blowing out really quickly when it's really not necessary. Because, at the time I was very young when I started my company, really young. I never had a job I never worked for anyone else. I just worked for myself. So I learned a lot of hard lessons early on, and I probably could have hired half the people that I hired. So I think across the years, I've really learned to be a little more frugal and careful with how I spend. And I think it happens to a lot of people who do have their own businesses for the first time.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. Because you see it coming in and it's like so exciting, and you think that it's just going to stay
Oh
like
yeah.
that. You don't realize that like there's ebbs and flows in business.
Right.
That's for
Yeah,
sure.
and then you wanna hire another person and open another office, and those are fixed costs. Like, they're not costs that go up and down. That's a fixed cost. So if you have a down month, how do you cover those? And I went through periods of, I want to say when I was really young, eating rice at home because it was cheap and it fed me and I could pay my staff. So I'm in a different position now, but there was a lot of hard lessons to be learned.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, that's such a good one. That's such a good one. Okay. What's like the most rewarding aspect now of your job, would you say? Or I shouldn't say job, like
Um,
what's the
the
most
most
rewarding in your career?
Yeah, I think, like, seeing other people in my clothes. There's one moment that I really remember that sort of stuck in my head forever, and it was a while ago. But I'm known for originally, and it's very different now, obviously, but the crochet one piece, because I've been doing crochet one pieces. It's what I started with. And I was with my friends in Vegas at a pool party. Not often I'm in Vegas at a pool party, but it was somebody's event. And I was there and I was wearing one of my crochet one pieces. And this girl came up to my friends and I, and she's like, "You're wearing Lisa Marie." And me too. And she had one on, and she was like, "Oh, we're wearing the same designer." And my friends are like, "That's Lisa Marie." And it was like my moment of, oh my God. So, I mean, we took her out to dinner with us, and we had such a great time. She was so
Oh,
sweet, but it was like the moment for me. Absolutely.
that's so beautiful. It's like being recognized, all the hard work and being
Yeah.
recognized, but also because she just felt so good at it and she loved it.
Yeah. It was wonderful because it was so organic. I loved it because it was like so natural and organic.
Yes. Is there a favorite piece that you've ever designed?
Yeah, I think, I mean, the one that stands out to me, and again, I'm referring to the crochet swimsuits because it's what I've been doing forever, and the clothing is really new to me, and we're still finding our feet, but loving it. There's one piece that I designed, and it was worn by Jennifer Lopez on the cover of US Weekly, and it took 18 hours by hand to create. All of the crochet swimsuits do. They're all made by hand. They're a work of art, 18 hours. And so that piece, it's just probably my favorite because it was so recognized. It was on the cover of a magazine. This amazing woman was wearing it, who's so well known. And yeah, I think that's going to be with me forever.
What's wild is I remember seeing all those suits. Like I remember that because I was in at the time I was in media, and I was well versed in all the magazines, and I can totally remember seeing all these suits before. How crazy that,
That is
right?
crazy.
And now I know you, and like it's just so wild how the world works.
It's amazing. It truly is.
I'm sure if everyone watching, if they were to see a picture of the suit, they would be like, "Oh yeah," because
Yeah.
everyone was wearing. There was a time where everyone was wearing them. I felt like, and so
Yeah. It's funny because when I was doing them, it started like this cycle, and I think then they kind of went out, but now I see it all coming back. There's so many crochet, clothing, bathing suits, cover-ups, that sort of thing, and it's really coming back again. So it's done it. I've been there for the full cycle.
it's a full fashion cycle. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And also, I feel like people now want things that are unique again. Like they're into the
Mm.
handmade, they're into, you know, buying less of higher quality. So I think like we're slowly starting to get back to that place. So I can see why there's a big resurgence for that.
Yeah, my ethos now, and I made a decision quite a few years ago that I wouldn't buy any fast fashion anymore. I want quality pieces that last, that I can wear forever. And I made a decision to get rid of all of, the really low end fast
Yeah.
fashion pieces and not have any of that in my wardrobe anymore. And I think even though you have less quantity, sorry, you have less quantity, there's so much more to wear. It's funny.
Isn't it bright? Because you can see everything.
Yeah, and everything there's things that go with other pieces more than like, this white singlet thing that you bought that's really cheap that you thought you needed or
Right.
yeah, so there's like really beautiful outfits you can put together across all the pieces. Now I don't know. I've been doing that for a while now and I absolutely adore it.
I'm right there with you. Less is definitely more. And also when you look at the cost per wear, if you
Mm.
invest more initially in a piece, yet you're going to have it for so much longer. Like if you actually factor in the cost per wear, you're paying less than if you were going to buy something that was cheap and you wear it twice because it falls apart, or it's like super trendy and you don't want to wear it again. You know,
It's funny you mentioned that cost per wear because I have a really wonderful girlfriend. You actually know her, Giselle, and she buys a lot from me. And then she was showing me she has a spreadsheet of everything she buys, and she works out how much it costs and how often she wears it, and she actually notes it down on her spreadsheet so she can work out her cost per wear. And I think it's a brilliant idea because she puts down what she buys each month and then she knows and she tracks it. But I've never done anything like that. But she really gets into the numbers of it.
that's brilliant. And I mean, she's also a finance, her background
She's
is
a
all
finance
finance.
girl.
So there you go. That's amazing though. But that's a good that's a good like marketing strategy too, the cost per wear. I would love to talk a little bit more about like how you incorporate sustainability and this more holistic approach in your collection because I know it is so important to you.
Yeah.
Tell me more about that, like where you source and like just kind of like the whole process and how it is all holistic.
Yeah, so it's specifically the crochet that we talk about that is sustainable and has this process. So to put it in everyday terms, we actually employ grandmothers in emerging countries in their villages, in their homes, and these people have the crochet skills. So crochet is like a dying art. I don't know anyone that crochets anymore. And my grandmother crochets, but I don't really know anyone my age that knits or crochets. So it's a really skilled and dying art. And so most of the people that are able to do this for us are the elderly, and they also don't have a way to earn money.
Mm,
So we put these two things together, and we allow them to work in their homes, in their little villages, and they crochet a section of it might be the bust cups or the middle or the bottom, and they'll crochet the sections in their home, and then they send it into our main factory. And so our factory gets all of these pieces that have been crocheted by somebody's grandmother in their home in a village, and they put them all together. And so when it's beautiful almost, it gives me goosebumps when I think about it. And then you're getting this beautiful piece that's handmade by someone that you're supporting in a remote community,
mhm.
and it's all put together and delivered to your door.
And it was made with so much love. Like that when those women were sitting there crocheting, they were like the happiest probably that they ever have been because they're doing what they love, and you're putting that on your body.
Exactly.
It's like you're just wrapped in
Exactly.
it's like your grandmother is hugging you when you put on that swimsuit.
It's just the whole process is so beautiful, and I love that we can give back to these communities, and I love that we can support older women who don't have a way to earn money. So there's so many things that I love about the process.
This is what I love. There's another Spanish-based designer that I love, and it's the same thing. Like they employ, women who don't necessarily have other way to make money, and I just think it's such a beautiful way to give back and to support and to just be in service and like make beautiful pieces that are just It's just so beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. That's like
Of course.
that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay. So I'd love to shift a little bit now and talk about when I say the word full potential self, what does that mean to you?
Full self potential. Okay.
And I know you and I've talked about this a lot. Like we
um, yeah. So I think for me, I want to say it's being aligned with who you truly are and expressing that through your choices. So, um, constantly growing, being authentic to who you are, and you know, putting that into action in the fashion world is like choosing something that makes you feel like aligned and authentic and confident with your inner self. So I think putting it in a nutshell is like feeling empowered to show the best version of yourself every single day.
yes, yes, yes. And I love that we're talking about this because I think there's a lot of people that are doing the inner work to get clear on who they are and what lights them up and like to release the stories, release the limiting beliefs, yet they're not necessarily taking the next step to show up that way. So
Right.
I love that through style, we can talk about this and how the next step is to take the action, even if you haven't manifested or created the life that you know that you truly desire, deserve, and like who you really are. You get to start being that person now.
Absolutely. I think that's how you make it happen. You be that person now and then everything else unfolds. I have like this thought about manifesting because a lot of people use manifesting like, "Oh, I'm going to manifest it and it's just going to happen."
No,
And I believe, I can only speak to my own belief, but I believe that you have to make steps towards where you want to be, and that's manifesting. So this is part of that manifestation process.
I'm right there with you. You have to show the universe that you are ready and that you're taking the steps. It's like believing in the unseen, being it
Absolutely. You don't just sit there and, like, click it and it's gonna happen. Maybe sometimes it does, but you definitely have to show the universe that you're committed. You're gonna get there. It's gonna happen.
right. The people where that happens, they're like up in the mountaintops meditating. We will never meet them. So there's like five of them in the world.
But they also don't need, a Birkin bag and a bunch of other things that we're trying to manifest,
We don't.
right?
Right, right, right. And I mean, yes, I would love a Birkin bag, of course. We'll talk about that.
Well, let's be real.
Let's be real here, okay? Now, okay, you shared that you like in the past used to question what you were wearing. So do you feel like though you've always had confidence with your style, or is it something
Um
that's grown over time?
I think it's grown over time. Like when you've said that, this particular memory popped into my head that I'll share. And it's funny because it's also from when I was a child, when I was at school, and I had my mother make me this pair of shorts. And so I picked the fabric, she made the shorts, and I took it on a school camp and I wore these shorts and I was like so happy about my shorts. And all the kids picked on me about my shorts. And then they said, "Where did you get them?" And I said, "My mother made them." And they picked on me even more.
Oh,
And so I think like just it's funny because when you're saying things, different memories are just popping
yeah,
into my head. And I remember feeling so insecure. And I was a child, I'm not an adult. We have different feelings as adults and we're more confident. But I think it's also true. I felt like insecure about what I was wearing. I felt like other people maybe didn't like what I was wearing, even though I liked it. And so all of these feelings were coming up within me. And I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten more comfortable with how I want to present myself and feeling good about it for me and not worrying so per se, about what other people are thinking about me. So although yes, everybody wants to look fashionable and wants people to think they look fashionable, but I don't think the most important thing is that. I think the most important thing for me now is looking at myself and feeling like I'm presenting myself in the way in which I want to be seen and the way in which I feel confident and comfortable and happy. So yeah, there's definitely an evolution. And I mean, I gave you a really extreme example of me as a child in these shorts, but there I think that's probably relevant for most people too, that they go out in something and someone maybe says something or looks at them a certain way. It could even just be a look, and you have an insecurity, and then you feel uncomfortable because you weren't fully confident in picking this outfit and wearing it. It's definitely a mindset. Everything comes from the mind.
Mhm. Total agreement with you. And I think it's interesting that I think for so many of us when we're younger, we just want to fit in. We want to wear
Right.
what everyone else is wearing. We want to go to the store that everyone else is going to. And so when you do something that's a little bit more unique, you get picked on. And I think unfortunately so many people bring that into adulthood. And I think it's so beautiful when we can release that because our uniqueness truly is our gift. And I feel
Hmm.
like now it's amazing to stand out in your style and wear something that's completely different. Like I was sharing with you that when I wore your little blah 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 set to go get the pants hemmed, which is that's out there. Like that is so different than what anyone is really wearing. And I got so many compliments because people were like, "Oh my gosh, that's different. That's unique." I posted it on my Instagram. I got so many compliments on it. So I think it's such a beautiful thing when we're confident enough to stand out.
Yeah,
And
absolutely. Absolutely. I applaud people for that.
yeah, well, that's what your designs are doing. Like your designs, as I shared in the beginning, are so different than what we're seeing everywhere, and it's really refreshing. So it's like
Thank you.
really refreshing, and I want everyone listening. I'm going to drop the website in the show notes, and I want everyone to go check out her beautiful collection because it is so different. It's so unique. The price point's really good for especially for the quality that you're getting. So it's just, yeah,
I really tried to keep that's another thing, because I know how much it costs to make something. I I have a hard time myself sometimes buying designer brands because I know how much it costs to make something, and I really feel like I'm being taken advantage of sometimes.
yeah,
So it's really important to me to be able to give really good quality items at an affordable price. And I'm not talking about a really cheap price, because
yeah,
obviously it's not, it costs us money to make things, so we have to be covered, but it's not an exorbitant price. And we do really beautiful, like buttery soft, genuine leather jackets for 2.95. Like, and
yeah.
so really beautiful Mongolian wool. And so the quality and the products are excellent for the price. And I really feel like I want to offer these quality products to people at an affordable rate.
Mhm. I'm so curious when you're designing each collection, is there a part of it where you're thinking about like you stepping into your next phase and how would you dress, or are you designing for like a certain woman or a certain like I'm so curious how that happens for you.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a few things that I consider. So when I first started designing, this is another hard lesson. I first designed things that I want, and my style is probably different to mainstream style. And so I was designing all of these things and creating a collection. And the thing I loved the most just didn't sell. And the thing that I kind of liked the least sold a lot of. And so over the years, I realized, like, oh, okay, hang on a minute. I'm designing for other people. I'm not designing for myself here. And so I would take a little bit of what other people wanted. So basically, in terms of each collection evolving, I look at the previous silhouettes from the previous year, what sold really well, what didn't. If there was a previous silhouette that everybody loved, like this particular leather jacket last year, sold the first love leather jacket, sold like crazy. So I know people love that silhouette. So this season we've kept it, but we've added a few more colorways. So I usually it's gone from a lot of art, how it started, to more data and art.
Okay.
So we base it now on, what sold, what works well, what people like, maybe iterate a little bit of the design into something else so it's a little bit different, but we know that's a really great seller and people really like that. Or like I said, we use a silhouette in a different colorway. Or sometimes I also just look around me and see what people are wearing, and I really on a daily basis, I really absorb what's going on around me, what people are wearing, how they wear it.
Mhm.
And that inspires me to create. So we might have completely new silhouettes that I've designed for a season, but it's like influenced somehow by what I've seen around me, and also what I like. So there's definitely still, you can see through my collection, there's still some pieces, a lot of pieces that I'm like, yes, I love that. I want to wear that. And then I'm designing that because I want to wear it. And then thrown into the mix is a lot of the data backed styles as well.
Which is smart, right? Like we want to keep you in business, so that's smart.
Yeah, I have to run. I realized I need to make money. I can't just design things for myself.
Now, is there like if you're having kind of a blah day or you're feeling a little like not yourself, is there like one specific piece that you will put on that you know is going to make you feel amazing?
Yeah, so I have it before. It's usually for me in the evenings because I'll be going out to an event or, a dinner or something in the evenings, and I'm racing home from work and I've got like half an hour to get ready and change. And you should see my closet after that because I put everything on and then I throw it off and then I put something else on and that doesn't work and I throw it off. And usually in those moments, there's like one or two go-to outfits I have that I know I feel great in and I feel like they look amazing, and I'll always end up going for that outfit, that one, like one or two outfits, if I get to a point of like, oh my god, nothing is working. So I definitely have a couple of go-tos that I really love and I feel confident in. And my husband will look at me when if I end up in that outfit, he's like, "Oh, you always wear that." I don't always wear it, but it's definitely like something there in my closet that I feel good in and I go to if nothing else is working on
Yeah,
the day.
I totally get that. So I'm so curious what keeps you inspired and what keeps you driven because you are, I mean, you're so hardworking and you're doing all these amazing things. What keeps you motivated?
I think honestly, I think my fulfillment comes from what I do and being successful. I'm definitely a strategist, so give me a problem, I'll give you an answer. Um, and so speed humps in business and in life, I actually feed off because I work out a strategy, I work out how to get around it, I work out what's going to work right now, and then that gives me so much fulfillment in life. It keeps me going. So I don't think like work isn't a drag for me. I love what I do. I wish I had more time in the day to do work, honestly, because it brings me so much joy and fulfillment. But yeah, I don't know. I don't see it as a burden at all. I see it as always a positive, and it drives me even more. Every time I get a little success or a little win, I have more hunger and more drive to keep going.
I love that. Like one step at a time, just keep going.
That's right.
Okay, so for people who are watching us that maybe they're still curating their style, they're still trying to get clear on what that looks like, is there a tip or a step that something that you could offer them as they kind of begin this process of like, gosh, what do I want to wear? What is going to make me feel confident? What what works for me?
Yeah, I think really understanding what your best for me, I'll talk about myself, I think. Because this is I like to give advice instead of telling people what to do, I like to say I would do.
Okay.
So I know for me, I have a small waist. I'm really tall, but I have uh, really small waist, which I like to accentuate. So I understand my body, and I understand that if I wear something kind of boxy, I feel really big and I don't feel comfortable and confident. And so I know when I get dressed, I want to cinch in or accentuate my waist, and that is going to work for me. So I guess my advice would be like just really understand what particular part of your body is your best asset. And then you can focus on styles that accentuate that. And I think that will make you feel comfortable because I know for myself when I have like that slim waist showing off, I feel good. I feel like confident in myself. And that's definitely my basis for building an
I
outfit.
love that. I love that. And I think for if people aren't really sure, well, I don't really know what that is. Like that's when you just gotta play. Start trying on pieces. Try on
Yeah.
boxy pieces. Try on fitted pieces. Try on different pant lengths. It's like it's kind of a game to
It is, it is. You just gotta try it
Yeah.
all on until you're like, "Oh, I like this, but why do I like this? Oh, I like this because, it's loose in the tummy, or it shows my legs, or, I have a lot of people that come into our store. It's funny, I've noticed this trend with a lot of women that, in their latter years, they don't wanna show their
Yes,
arms, and so
yes.
and I don't understand it because my mom's like this too, and she's like, "Oh, I can't have anything that's sleeveless." And I'm like, "Your arms look
Yes.
great. Why don't you want to show your arms?" But it's important to her. So she knows when she gets something, it has to have like at least a little cap sleeve. And so that's the basis of, her style for herself. And everything else is kind of less important. So I think you can kind of understand the must-haves and then elaborate from
Yeah,
there.
I would agree. And I also think like allow yourself to try something new sometimes too. Like I think a lot of times people get
Yes.
stuck in the box. Like they might hear a rule that someone shares, like don't ever wear stripes or don't ever wear this, and so they hear that and they take it in like, oh yeah, I can't ever wear that. Yet you actually might look amazing in that. So like. I always think the style rules. I never follow any of the style rules because I'm like, who made those stupid rules? Like,
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think as well, tapping onto that is, like, don't think you have to follow all the
yeah,
trends. Like, I feel like people think they have to follow every trend, and it's gonna work for them. No, you don't have to follow the trends. You can wear what works for you.
yes. Yes. Agreed. Agreed. If you love your skinny jeans, wear your skinny jeans, right? Don't worry about doing a
Exactly. If you
trouser jean if you don't if it doesn't feel good to you. Like don't
No, or a high-waisted jean or a low-waisted jean, wear what works for
yeah,
you. Everybody's wearing high-waisted jeans and you don't feel comfortable in them for one reason or another, don't wear
don't
them.
wear them. Yes, that's true style. That's true style. I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh, so much fun. Is there anything else that I haven't asked you or brought up that you are feeling called to share?
I feel like we've covered so much ground. I've talked about my childhood and, like, business advice, and I feel like we've covered a lot of ground. I guess that we can I've got a coupon for your, listeners that you can share, and I'd love them to visit the website and check us out. But yeah, no, I feel like we've really, really gone a wide
I know,
breadth
right?
here.
We've gone all different directions. Yes. So for everyone that's watching us, if you are in SoCal, there is actually a store. Lisa has a store in Laguna Beach. And for anyone else, there's everything is available online to shop. And I
Mhm.
noticed that you have free shipping, right? I
Yeah,
free
free
shipping.
shipping, all over America, and actually, if you all over the world, if you spend more than $250. So, free shipping any price in America, any purchase, and then, yeah, we'll ship for free, over 250 for the
That's
world.
beautiful. And she's offering a 15% off coupon online. It's the code summer15. Don't worry, we're going to put all of this in the show notes so that you will have it. So that's amazing. So I really invite everyone to go check out the pieces, see what calls to you. Follow Lisa on Instagram. They're always showing off their new collection. She's actually wearing the shirt from her new collection that I'm
I
obsessed with. It's
This is I called it the shirt of my dreams because it's actually the shirt of my dreams. The cuff, and I don't know if people can see, but it's like a cropped shirt here with a really, really long sleeve and a cuff, which I love, I adore, and this really stiff collar. So this is one of the new items that's about to drop in September. And yes, it is the shirt of my
it is
dreams.
also the shirt of my dreams. So I will be purchasing that one. So it's so beautiful. Thank you so much for joining us today and like your time and just like your light and your that's why I love being around you. You're always so positive. You're like glowing. You're like a big glowing ball of light and love. And it's so beautiful, your
Oh.
energy and all that you're doing in the world. You're making people look beautiful and feel beautiful. And you just give off this beautiful energy. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I feel the same about you. I always feel like when we spend time together that I'm grounded again, because sometimes I can get caught up with life and everything that's going on, and then I speak to you and I'm like, "Oh, I'm all zen again."
Yay. I love it. It's the perfect combo.
Exactly.
Yay. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to this episode.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us today, and I really hope you found value in this discussion. My guest and I have loved sharing and opening your eyes to the deeper impact style and clothing has on your life. And if you enjoy today's episode of Style Awakenings, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with friends who you know will also love and benefit from this podcast. The more we all learn to love ourselves and show up as our true selves, the lighter the world will become. Now go forth stylishly.